Hi everybody, here's Krystian from Teamwork Cast.
And I have beamed up from internets abroad to enjoy this Star Trek game.
To boldly go where so many people have gone before, because this is in CCG Archeology. We have discovered this beautiful artifact here with lots of different prices here. So that was $9.90.
Please buy this.
And then it was 16, but then it was like, oh man, this is some really nice find here. So this is the original Star Trek customizable card game, CCG. I guess that was the abbreviation, collectible, customizable, whatever. So what do we know about this, Nick?
Can I tell you a story about this game?
Yeah, sure.
So in this game, you're exploring the universe, and you have you're on a ship, and you have bridge members, and you're going around and doing stuff. When I was moving away from Ohio, I was standing in a board game store in Toledo, Ohio, and I was trying to figure out how to get enough money to move out of Tiffin, Ohio, and so I could have enough gas money to go to Gen Con in 1999 and then move to Maryland. And so I'm standing there and I'm trying to sell off all of my Warhammer stuff because I couldn't bring it with me. And this guy's standing there looking at this box of stuff that I brought in, and he's like, "Do you have any of the bridge members of the Star Trek CCG?" Because I had some boxes in there. I said, "Yeah, I have them all." So the guy bought them for like $350. $350. So it was like 7 cards or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And so that's how I paid for my gas to Gen Con and then back to Maryland.
Experience the unlimited depth, texture, and richness of this game. That's not a very good text. The Star Trek Next Generation customizable card game consists of a universe of more than 360 common, uncommon, rare, and ultra-rare cards. So we have also ultra-rares in this one. Players challenge opponents with personalized decks that are custom assorted with ships, crew members, aliens, defenses, and missions. Every game is unique. Expand the power in the universe by adding cards to your collection. This starter set contains 60 randomly assorted trading cards, enough for one player to begin the adventure. So this is from 1994. This is just 1 year after Magic the Gathering came out. This is from a company called Decipher.
Decipher owned the license for a number of years.
Yeah, this is actually a very, very long-living trading card game, even though it has some issues, and we're going to discuss this in a second. It has I think the final upgrade of this was released in 2007. Yeah. So this has been running for over 10 years, like 14 years now. But the thing is that they did a reboot at some point because it got very complicated at some point, and you can kind of see the problems. So that's already in this very first edition. This is called the Premier Edition. So this is what it started out with in '94.
So the weird thing about this is that this is actually the third release of this series, because there were 2 other editions. Since there's the black bordered edition, which I think was the first, then there's a silver bordered, then there's a white bordered.
I think the silver board was a collector's edition. Yeah. Like you could buy a box with all of the cards if you didn't care about trading and collecting them. The black border was kind of like an alpha, like a very, very early release, and the white border is basically the standard that everybody got in there. I remember I bought these cards myself, and I wasn't so lucky of getting like this amazing price for reselling them later on, because I sold them on eBay at some point when I left my parents' house. And the thing is, like, I was very, very poor at the time. This card game came out and Magic came out, so we were all kids and we were living off monthly allowances. Yeah. And so I got this together with a couple of my friends, and we actually, because there's multiple factions in here, and we actually split. We bought the starter packs together, and we split the cards among us. So each one was playing different faction. I was, of course, the Federation. And I had a friend who was playing the Romulans, and a player who was playing the Klingons, which are the 3 factions here. We see the manual here, and the manual is, of course, not as great. It's black and white, as you had like with Magic, and now this card game. Yes. And I haven't read the manual in a long time. I'm not sure how good it is at explaining things, but I'm not expecting too much from this one, to be perfectly honest, Nick. I'm not gonna hate too much on this, but yeah.
I have a very fond memory of this game.
I think this game does a lot of things right and a lot of things not very right.
See, this is what's baffling me. So it says that there are ultra rare cards in there, but every deck list that I find does not mention ultra rarity.
Yeah, I think that's also something that confused me when I was researching this. So I don't think there is actually ultra rare.
So was it just a sales tactic on Decipher's part?
Maybe, I don't know. Like ultra rare sounds amazing on a box, right?
Yeah. See, I think there's some cool ideas in this game.
There's some cool ideas. So the thing that this game does really well, I think, is like being evocative of this series.
Yeah.
So what you have is, for example, like these cards, which are like crew cards. You can play those crew cards, and then you have to solve dilemmas in order to overcome, to get points. Like this, for example, if you overcome this dilemma, you get 5 points. Here, I think this is my rare, right? Because this is a pretty hardcore guy here.
This is Benjamin Maxwell.
Benjamin Maxwell. He's an officer.
Uncommon.
Uncommon, nice. There's some events here that nutational shields. So I'm gonna pick up some cards to explain the rules. So this is, for example, a mission. Let me see real quick if there's more missions. So yeah, this game really suffered from one big problem, in that on the package it says this you have everything what you need to start the game, but you don't. You actually seriously just don't. You cannot start playing this game when you buy a starter pack.
But you have Matt the Barber. That's all you need.
I have Matt the Barber, so everything's nice. So the way this game works is you have those cards, which are the mission cards, right? Uh-huh. And I'm gonna focus the camera. All right. So you have these cards, and you supposed to have 8 of those or so. 6 or 8, I forgot. And you then at the beginning of the game, before you start, you and the opponent, you alternate creating the universe. Basically, you put out those location cards, and you create like a timeline. As you can tell, I have 4 of those in my starter pack. I need another starter pack to even start playing the game.
Yeah,
and that's just one person. Like the other person also has to buy 2 starter packs. So already we're having a bit of a problem here. And that's of course the issue with again something that we discussed previously, that all of those early trading card games always had the starter packs be randomized.
Yeah.
Because those card games being randomized was a big deal of those things. These days you would have like a starter pack where you have like a pre-constructed deck with some very simple cards that really explain your basic rules, and then it would say you would maybe get 1 booster with a starter pack, so you would you get some randomized cards as well.
Benjamin Maxwell.
So Benjamin Maxwell. So the idea is you have those guys, and then you put them on ships. So and let me see if I have a ship.
I thought I saw the Enterprise on there.
If there's an Enterprise here, I'm going to lose my shit. There we go. We have a runabout here.
Oh, runabout. Okay.
So again, very evocative. You have like your Federation or whatever starships, and you have the timeline that we discussed. So you have to imagine more cards being here.
Yeah. This is the part of the game that I think was cool. You mutually create this universe, and then you're going to go around trying to do the missions on there. So, like, if the missions, I think, were more complicated, and I think the missions had more, I guess, weight to them, I think that would have been fascinating.
So you put your ships on here, and then on the ships you can put your crew. So, yeah, you had, like, Mott the Barber, which we talk about.
Mott the Barber's amazing. You leave him alone.
He is amazing. So you put the crew on the ships, and then you can take, like, this entire pile of cars, and you can, like, fly around in the universe and to the different locations, and then you can solve the missions on those locations. I guess here I cannot, so I can solve this one. This is an excavation location here, so I can excavate this, and that gives me 25 points, and I need to reach, like, I don't know, how many points? 100 or so? Forgot. To win this game. And so another thing that happens at the beginning of the game is we have those dilemma cards, which this one is null space. Let me refocus.
You're just flying around in space, and suddenly you're like,
A rare invisible pocket of space caused a turbulence during star formation, absorbs all energy. Ship hits null space turbulence and is damaged unless 2 navigation on board. Discard dilemma.
This is also an uncommon.
Oh, sweet. So this is a dilemma that happens in space. That's why I do have like a space icon here. So my opponent can put this underneath my at the beginning of the game, underneath my space locations in space. And then when I when I decide to fly there with my runabout, with my gang on board, fly there, and then I can say I want to solve this mission now. Then I have to like take those cards underneath the location and then solve the dilemmas one after another. And this one, I have to check if I have enough navigation personnel on board. So then I go through my navigation personnel. And it's like, oh no, I only have barbering and leadership. I want to see the dilemma that requires barbering.
I bet it's worth 80,000 points.
So in this case, I don't have the 2 navigation on board, and I suffered 2 damage. I have shields 5, so I'd survive this. And then I would, tackle the next dilemma, and I would get 5 points for this dilemma because it's a dilemma that has a score associated with it. So as you can tell, the seeding phase at the beginning of the game was like a very lengthy process. You have to create a universe, you have to seed all the dilemmas and everything, and it takes a lot of time to even start the game. And that was just the more simplest version. Later on, the game became much more complex.
So let's look at the next few cards, because I think that you are basically at your rare.
This is Runabout is a rare?
No, Runabout's a common, but that came from the bottom of the deck.
Also, I wanted to mention something. Like, this game was very keen about making sure that everything stays like in canon.
Yeah.
So they have like a specialized symbol. Usually, you have like a specialized symbol for denoting cards that are legendary, unique. That you can have one of in the entire game, right? This is the other way around. Here, you have a special symbols for cards that are not unique. Otherwise, everything, as a default, everything is unique in this game.
You can't have 15 enterprises?
No, and you cannot have like two Mott the Barbers, for example. Mott the Barber is a unique guy.
He is a unique guy. He's an uncommon.
He's an uncommon?
Yeah.
All right, so Benjamin Maxwell is an uncommon, we already said.
Yeah, who's
Movar.
That guy? Movar. He is also an uncommon.
All right, so we started with our uncommons. This is an event, so this is one thing that you can play just on your turn, just randomly. Mutation adjusts the Sheik frequency phase rotation, thereby increasing shield efficiency used against the Borg. Place on the table, new technology enhances each of your ship's shields +2 for each engineer on board. Nice.
Mutational shields uncommon.
Tokath, which is another of the Romulans, and he establishes a secret prison camp in Karaya. So this text is flavor text, and then there are other things that's not flavor. And I'm going to say it right away, later on in the game, those guys the rules started to encroach on the flavor text. It's really hilarious. So
Tokath also uncommon.
Mm-hmm. And so you have like different abilities. He has anthropology and honor. Which for Romulan to have honors, I think is pretty unique, because usually the other guys, the Klingons, had honor.
What is that card called?
Nausicans, and they are tall humanoid species. They are the guys who Nausicans. They are the guys who destroyed the heart of Picard when he was young. 3 Nausicans pick a fight. 1 away team member is killed. Random selection unless strength is more than 45.
Oh man,
this is hardcore. Oh my God. He is everywhere.
What is his name?
Eric Pressman.
He's also uncommon.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
He's in every show.
What's his name in Lost? John Locke, right?
Yeah, John Locke.
He's an engineer, and he's also treacherous.
Yes, he is.
Vulcan Mind Melts. So this is an interrupt. I know. So that's something that you can play kind of randomly every time. Like also during a mission or something. Allows all Mind Melt personnel at one location to add to their skills for one turn all of the skills of another person's personnel who is present. Oh yeah, that's really nice. So this is really great, I think, if you have like a lot of guys who have Mind Melt abilities. The Juggler. It's an interrupt. Choose any player to reshuffle the cards in their draw deck. I don't know. Doesn't seem that great. This is T-Bok.
I bet he's your rare. No, he's not. He's also an uncommon.
A commanding officer of the Romulan warbird that crossed the Roman Nibbler. Romulan neutral zone. There we go, man. Sometimes I just stumble over my tongue. He has diplomacy, leadership, and navigation. Oh yeah, that's a great episode. Matriarchal society.
Oh man,
it's basically what the SJWs want to create. Have you watched this episode? It's a really great one.
It's a really great episode. I like it a lot. That is Riker just going like, "This is my planet."
Yeah, and the men are like treated like women in this game, in this society where they're like the decorations basically.
Yeah,
and, like with exposed pecs. Cannot get past unless at least 2 female away team members are present. So great!
Nice.
It's like, wait a minute, so you have to get through, and like the gender is not denoted on the cards. There is no gender symbol on the cards, so you kind of have to look at the image and identify whether like is Mott male or female. I guess he's male, but you don't know. Like it's an alien. How do you know if it's a male?
You will know.
So some of the ideas in the game are really great, but they're just not as disciplined as you would expect from like Magic the Gathering these days. I mean, Magic the Gathering had also like their problems. So you can already see like some issues. Like sometimes it's just
Berkeley.
Oh man, no, it's not Berkeley. It's the alien parasite episode where there's like parasites in people's heads and they get through the mouth.
Right, yeah.
Unless integrity is more than 32, away team infected, they beam back an opponent immediately controls ship and crew until stopped. Then a turn resumes. Nice, so you can control somebody's.
Ooh.
Oh man, this guy! Just look at this guy.
It's a Tom Ebron.
Yeah, he's a VIP. He's a Betazoid male with exceptional emphatic abilities. Participated in the notorious Gorzala disaster. Specialist in first contact with life forms. He has 2 empathy and honor.
He's your rare.
Oh, he's my rare? Seriously?
Yeah.
Is Red Alert a rare?
And I think Red Alert might also be rare. I think there should be 3.
I read that this
Red Alert is a common.
So Red Alert, I heard, is like a very important card.
Yes, because I think that activates all of your people.
This state of maximum crew and system readiness. Place on the table allows you to play as many ship personal equipment cards as desired each turn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I think you're restricted otherwise. I think you can only play once per turn.
Oh, Callaway.
Oh man,
wasn't she one of the new recruits?
I think she's just a random. I'm not exactly sure. She might be in one of the episodes where it's like this alternate story on Enterprise, but I think she's just a random person. Like
I thought she was one of them.
I like her only ability is that she's young. Like she's medical, but she doesn't even have the medicine as an ability or something. Like she's just young.
Ooh, who's this person?
And so this is a Klingon female. I like that they say that it's female because I would have hard time deciding if it was a matriarchal society
my
dilemma.
favorite thing about this is that it is not restricted. So you could have 1,000 Vecmas if you really want.
You could also have 1,000 Callaways.
Oh,
that's nice. So this is a space dock. Orbital repair and building facility for starships. Such facilities have been developed by many races. Place on an outpost instantly repairs your damaged ships. If they stop there, also repairs on not aligned ships. Microvirus is not a dilemma. Kills 1 away team member, opponent's choice, unless medical and security present.
So you really only got 1 rare in this entire deck?
I think there might be a second one. We're gonna like put in like little overlays to denote what kind of rarity this is. This is a good one. Clag is an officer who has navigation. Espionage, Klingon on Federation. Place on any Federation mission. Your Klingon personnel may now attempt this mission. Discard after a mission completed. So this is really cool.
I think it's interesting that all of the espionage cards are common.
So basically, the problem that you have is here. We're gonna have to show one of the mission cards. So at the bottom they have like 3 symbols: Federation, Romulans, and Klingon. And you can only solve these missions with the appropriate factions. So you cannot, I guess, you cannot bring any personnel that is Romulan on that is Klingon on this mission, for example. And with the espionage, you can after all. But the problem is like there is like some severe restrictions on the way you can use cards out of faction. So what I did when I bought it with my friends, we split it among factions. So I just kept all the Federation cards and so forth. But there's later on cards that allow you to max and match. But I feel like the way they did it in Netrunner is really smart, in that it seems to be designed to mix and match a little bit, but you have to kind of like pay something for it.
Yeah.
Whereas here you have to use those special cards in order to do this. So it's kind of like I have to get this card. So out of the box, I wouldn't be able to do this. It's like it seems like a workaround, like a crutch. This seems not to be like part of the game. Mm-hmm. Space Dock. Oh, wait a minute. Am I going the wrong way around? Yeah, I'm going wrong around. I'm sorry about that. So you can also bring, like, if that wasn't complicated enough, you can also bring equipment with you.
Yeah.
So you can put equipment and personal on the ships, and then equipment basically boosts your stuff. So gives all your officer classification personal the extra skill of medical where present.
So the weirdest thing about the equipment is that all of the equipment cards are common. There's no rare equipment.
That's weird. Well, I guess it makes sense because it's just a piece of kit. I mean, this would be weird if there was rare equipment, like a rare tricorder. Like what?
Well, it could be Geordie's adjusted tricorder or something like that. They could have tied it too.
I also like there's a certain problem with like the alien factions where it's like there's not too many Klingons in the TV series.
No, not a lot.
They really have to scrape at the bottom of the barrel to get those guys.
Yeah. Did the guy appear? Can we give him a name?
Yeah, like you have to like. I guess they had like access to the scripts to get the names, or maybe they invented the names. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, it's 94. There is no DVD sets from Star Trek.
No, so they would have been going through the tapes.
It also was very difficult to get. I think Star Trek didn't have like a complete release on VCR. You had like just a couple of episodes, I think.
Yeah, but if these guys had the official license, I'm sure that they shared.
They probably got like maybe Laserdisc or something. I mean, they had to do the scans. The scans look pretty nice. Yeah. So I also wanted to also congratulate them on the design of the. I think this came just out 1 year after Magic the Gathering. This looks really sleek and really nice. Like, this is a very nicely designed card. Again, like with X-Files, I think. Very clean, very, if you look at the early Magic the Gathering cards, man. This is Jera Medical. She has like a weird symbol here. I don't know exactly what that means. I think this is like an alternate universe or something.
Is it Jero?
Oh, she's a hologram. She's a hologram. Because that game wasn't complicated enough. Now we also have holograms. She's also young. It's a young hologram, I guess. So this is a treacherous, greedy archaeologist. The way we are, Nick.
It's true.
Romulan Disruptor, directed energy weapons. So this gives Romulans a non-aligned use only. Only Romulans and non-aligned. What? Non-aligned? Oh, so not alliance.
Yeah, there's a bunch of non-aligned people. Like, my favorite guy in this entire game is Roga Dinar.
There's also... So we're going to talk maybe about the future of this game later on, but quickly the creators of the game, the Decipher, quickly realized that if they're going to also have like cards from Deep Space Nine and stuff like that, they would also have to have like Cardassians. Cardassians and Bajorans, right?
Yeah, and they have to have shapeshifters,
and so they had to like put those in here. So this is so like the three factions they established with the Next Generation actually wasn't enough, so they introduced more of them. It's got very complicated. This is a plasma fire, and place on any ship except Borg ship. Fire damages ships, and at the end of next turn continues damaging each turn. Security puts it out. Discard after use. Interrupt ship seizure. If your ship has tractor beams, tow away, discard any empty ship in the same orbit as your own ship, except empty. Yeah, so oh man, this game got so cute where you, like, if your crew got killed on a ship, that ship would be stranded. Uh-huh. And then you have to take play another ship of yours, fly there. And if they had like a tractor beam installed, that's something that you sometimes had on those ship cars, you could then tow that ship to a dock, where then you could like re-equip it with other people. But you couldn't do it with a runabout class because it doesn't have a tractor beam. Ah.
Yeah, you kind of got crap ships, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't have too many ships. So female is love interest. Female away team member, random selection, runs off with lover to furthest planet where she remains. She can be rescued later.
What? Where did she go? She went off to go.
This is only the second card that affects the gender of the cards, and still we don't have any gender indicators on.
This episode.
Subsurface interference. Is it the one where the moon crashes on the planet?
Yeah.
Prevents, nullifies reception of incoming message or hail or subspace schism. Both cards are discarded. I don't know what any of these cards mean. Place on Disruptor Overload. Place on ship and away team one equipment card or one artifact played as an equipment card is destroyed. That location, random selection. Science. Oh, this is a Klingon scientist. Look at this. He's an astrophysicist.
Look, he can. Yeah. Do you think he was looked down on in the Klingon society?
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't have any honor, so that also tells you something about this. And here's a Romulan computer geek.
Romulan computer geek.
He's a treacherous archaeologist again. So many treacherous archaeologists here.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that mission, that episode. Unless this is a dilemma, unless medical present, one crew member killed. A random selection. Ship can't move until 2 engineer present. That's really good. That's a really good dilemma, I think. Subspace warp rift. Man, some of the cards are really beautiful because they use like screenshots from the series, and some of the special effects are really nice looking special effects. This plays crosswise on any space, time, location. Any ship passing on here would, without stopping, incurs damage. So you would play it like here on thing, and then when you pass through it, you have to stop or damage. Glance at the dilemma. Artifact cards located under one space mission for 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Who's gonna pay attention?
You have to time this. This is amazing.
All right, you got 20 seconds. Go.
But this is a very important card, I think. I think I would assume that if you build a deck, you would need multiple scans on there. So yeah, this is a treaty. So you have to play this
in order to do Romulan.
In order to have Romulans and Federation. So I'm not exactly sure how this works, but it's an event. So you have to draw into it, and then you have to play it. But I heard that also there's some rules where at the seeding, when you're creating the timeline, then you can also play those cards sometimes. Which is like you have to create like separate decks for cards that are seeded, which gets very, very complicated later on in the game.
Oh man, the QNet.
Man, from the first episode, nice. Place between 2 adjacent space-time locations. No ship may pass the QNet unless 2 diplomacy on board. Love it. So evocative. Place on any Federation mission. Your Romulan personnel may now attempt this mission. Okay, so this is the espionage. Yeah. Oh yes, we have a ship, Nick. We have a ship.
This is the USS
and
Church?
It has a tractor beam. It has a tractor beam. It's an Oberth, yeah, but I think it's a common.
It is.
So one thing to note that there's little symbols in here, and for larger ships, these are basically requirements. So you have to have one crew member that you have to fulfill all the requirements here. So for example, I guess this is a Klingon. Do we have? We don't have. So this is a Klingon, but yeah, basically this guy has like the symbol like here. So in order to even fly this ship, you would have at least one guy with that symbol on board.
So I like that in this starter deck, which you're supposed to be able to play with right out the bat, you can't pilot the ship.
No, right now I can't. I guess I would have to. No, I can't. I have to use the Romulan guys and then play the treaty card, and maybe I would be able to do this. Here's a dilemma: an impassable door. I need a computer skill.
Male love interest.
We have a male love interest. Like it. Like, we have another ship. Sweet.
Is that Zalorian transport?
Zibalian transport, yes. Common class merchant vessel used by traders. So this is a yellow card, and that yellow card is basically neutral. So you can be used by any kind of race. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing. Like initially, like in the first edition of the game, like the Kardashians. I want to say Kardashians. And the Bajorans and the Ferengi were all like this faction, and later on they changed it around, so they had to like retroactively turn all the Ferengi into into their own faction.
Speaking of,
this is a Klingon outpost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that you see at the beginning of the game. So when you create your timeline at the beginning of the game, you put these underneath, and then this is where your ships appear. So then when you play a ship, you play it on here, and then it's docked, and then it's actually docked. So we have to like issue a command to undock. Then it's in orbit. And you can only move personal from the outpost, because there's also personal on the outpost. So then you can move the personal on the outpost on the ship when it's docked. And it's just too cute. It's a bit too cute, you know?
Too literal.
Yeah. So this is a nice security person.
Who is that?
It's Sito de Jaxa.
Yeah, there's only been one rare in this entire deck.
We have a Tetrion field, plays crosswise on any space-time location. All ships must stop here before proceeding on next turn unless navigation on board. So similar to another card we already had. So this is a random guy. Narek, who's a science geek. Oh, nice!
Ooh.
Deedrex class, nice! Oh man, I'm happy about having this one. This is a really cool ship.
That's also a common.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay, well, it's not a unique one. It's just a random Deedrex. But I really love the design of this ship. It's a really nice one, and it's like, the main.
So the way to note it is that all of the Romulan ships, or most of the Romulan ships, are Deedrex class, but all the rest of them have names except for this one.
No, there's also smaller Romulan.
Yeah, there's Scout Science, and there's two Scout ships, one Science ship.
So the class is basically like the original Enterprise was Constitution class, and the TNG Enterprise is a Galaxy class ship, I think. Mm-hmm. Man, we're
nerding out.
We're nerding out a little bit here. So this one also has a tractor beam, so you can also tow ships. Event plays crosswise on a planet location. Maximum of 3 personal per turn can be beamed up. And you can also have to beam stuff. Oh yeah, so we speaking of which, we have a shuttle, a Romulan shuttle. An asteroid sanctuary.
Asteroid sanctuary.
Plays on any ship with 2 navigation board. Ship hides to prevent any battle initiated against this turn. So there's also rules of how ships can battle. It's crazy.
Wait, isn't that guy from? He was in X-Files.
If that's possible, I don't know. I don't recognize him because he has too much makeup on board. And then we have an iPad.
An iPad.
Federation pad. It gives us cunning +2. So as you can already tell, the big problem, and that's something that Netrunner kind of and X-Files were, I think, were able to work around with some special rarity stuff. But this is a game that came out before Netrunner and before X-Files. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, a huge problem that, for example, I only have 1 outpost in this deck. So I'm forced to play Klingons. Right?
Yeah.
Because I cannot spawn ships randomly somewhere. I have to spawn them at my outpost. But the problem is I don't have any Klingon ships in here. So basically the only playable ship I have here right now is the 1 neutral ship that I drew. That's the only thing I could play with this deck. I have some sweet... I have 2 Federation ships and 2 Romulan ships, but I don't have any Romulan or Federation outposts. So I would have to, I guess, play the... I also only have 1 of the cards that allow me to play both factions, the Alliance cards, right? Mm-hmm. So, wait a minute, where is it? I have a Federation and Romulan Alliance card, this one. So that means I can play Romulan and Federation things, but I don't have any Romulan or Federation outposts.
Yeah.
So this is like laughably not playable out of the starting pack.
It's weird because, like, if you look at who was producing... The Star Trek role-playing game was being produced by a company called Last Unicorn Games at this time.
Yeah.
So I have to wonder if they had been able to produce the collectible card game, what would it have been like? Because at this point, Decipher wasn't really producing a lot of anything, really.
Yeah, they basically started out with those trading card games. I mean, they started out with Star Trek and Star Wars, interestingly.
Yeah.
And they kept doing it for quite a long time, I have to say. Like, they kind of kept at it. And it was surprisingly so popular for being so unplayable out of the box, at least.
Yeah, Decipher's first game was a how to host a murder mystery.
Another thing that is kind of like weird that you already talked about is that you can play any personal, like, no matter how rare or not rare or how powerful they are.
Yeah.
There is no cost associated with playing things.
So if you have the rare personnel from that particular faction, you're probably going to be badass. Yeah,
I mean, the only restriction you had is the thing that we talked about, where sometimes the ships have requirements on them. So if you have like a sweet Dedrick's super cruiser, you need a lot of personnel, really good personnel to fly this. That's the only requirement. But otherwise, there's just nothing to stop you to just drop down some science vessels, because you have like 5 of them or so, and drop down some amazing personnel and then put them on the science vessel and just solve all the missions immediately.
And I guess we should know,
I assume.
What was it? Decipher managed to keep this game afloat until about 2007.
Yeah. And I think at some point in 2002, they did a reboot, because what happened very quickly is they got a license for TNG. And then that went really well. And they started expanding the license. So they started getting more licenses for other series, like for the original series and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they started bringing all those expansions out, and they, again, because they wanted to keep this like in canon and retain like the feel of the show, to make the card game feel very much like the show, they started adding all those additional rules on how to rationalize how, you know, Kirk can team up with Picard in one game, right? This game got incredibly bloated. Incredibly bloated. Like, if you read the actual final rules of, you know, after the final expansion, there's just so many like portals that you have to play, and those portals unlock the cards in your deck that don't belong in the same universe. Like you have to play a time portal card in order to play the Kirk and, you know, the original series people, and then you also create like a extra like Delta Quadrant cards next to the regular cards where the Voyager is hanging out, you know. And there's just so much, like, you have alternate universe people and mirror universe. Like, alternate universe is not the mirror universe, Nick. That's a different kind of set of cards, and you have like separate portals for those cards. You have like side decks. Like a Q side deck, where it's like from the Q continuum, cards are spilling into this. It's becoming so incredibly like mind-blowingly complicated. So that's why I like this original series, like the original premiere set, because I guess that's the one I like from nostalgic reasons. That's the one I collected for a while. But even those original were a bit just too convoluted. There's just too much going on. You would put those guys underneath the ships and you would try to move them around, but they would get mixed up so quickly, and you never had like enough cards to build like a deck, because there's just so much moving pieces involved.
Man,
that's why I'm saying like this is a card game I would design probably if I had to design a game, like very very evocative, but just too cute for its going good.
Yeah, it's super literal to its theme, which is kind of nice, because you kind of intuitively can decide, oh, well, my guy's got to get on a ship and they got to go over here and whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of like streamlining a competitive environment, I don't think it does very much.
But I was still going to say that these are really beautiful cards. I really love them. There's some really clean design, really nice looking. Like, if you compare it to Netrunner, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're taking pictures of things, and like Star Trek has a certain aesthetic that has evolved over the years, and Decipher got to capitalize on that aesthetic a lot.
But I think they still hold up. I mean, if this was a product that was released today, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek, the Star Trek aesthetic, aside from the recent reboot where Star Trek began to take place inside of an iPod, has kind of maintained itself.
But the funny thing is that, of course, they released like expansion with those cards as well. I'm not exactly sure with the reboot, but that there's like movies. They got licensed for the movies, so they got cards from the movies as well. There's so many expansions. I'm not going to open all the expansions. But we still have another product of Star Trek. So if you join us on the next episode, we're going to look at this as well.
Ooh.
Nick.
And we are the CCG archaeologists.
It belongs in a museum.